What's going on, everybody? I'm Curtis,
I'm Dakota.
and this is RSQ.
Welcome welcome
We
all.
welcome, blah, 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 blah. Welcome one, welcome all. We just finished another book, another indie book, Minu, and this is by SK Ira. This was a pretty dark book from what we're used to reading. Pretty. I wouldn't say gory, I guess, but there was some gore elements to it. But it was very How would you describe this book? I
It was
guess
a witchy dark fantasy. It was
witchy is what I wanted to say. That was the
yeah,
word stuck on my
more
tongue.
like sorcery than like uh s- like
Like
magic,
old
but
folklore
yeah.
kind of
There we
magic.
go. Like Scottish Isles, like yeah.
But it was, I'm going to say it ahead of time. It was really enjoyable. It was a nice change of pace. We primarily read fantasy and sci-fi, and this is more in like the fantasy, like folklore type of genre of that, but I felt like it was a nice change of pace.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. It was a good book.
Yeah. So let's dive right into it.
Here we
Also,
go.
so let's talk about the cover art. I made a
The
video
cover is super
about
cool.
judging a book by its cover. Huge win on the cover. I don't know who you hired for this, but big fan. I like this a lot.
Yeah, the who is the person on the front? Is that Minu? Is that
So this is Minu right here.
yeah.
I don't know who this is.
I don't
I
either.
thought this was Minu at first. Or no, excuse me. This is Taniel. I thought this might be Minu here. I think it is.
Yeah,
This
I
is
think so too.
Taniel, and this is I
Nezrin?
thought it
Or is it
I thought it
Sheeran?
was Sheeran, but I'm not for certain. We should ask. Actually, we should. We should ask Mr. Ira.
We should message and say, hey, who's on the cover for our headcanon?
In fairness, we've read since reading Minu, since his review, because our timing's been off. I think we've read like 4 books in between.
Yeah.
It's been insane. We've been cooking.
Yeah, we've been a little busy, but we're here to talk about Minu. First category, one of the most important categories, well-developed characters. I liked the cast here, and I thought that the cast had the perfect amount of screen time. Daniel was a likable enough main character who we saw have his own internal issues, his own internal struggles. His wife was very likable, Nezrin. His dad, even though didn't have much screen time, was also likable. Sheeran, I think it's Karina, the Minu's daughter, Master Maklu. The characters it was a good cast. I enjoyed it. Easy point here for me. Didn't feel like it was like people who didn't matter that were introduced. Didn't feel like our time was wasted on characters.
No, anytime there was whoever was on screen, I felt good about. I liked how we went from Sheeran being a like traveling companion to slowly shifting to her meeting Nezrin and that altercation, not altercation, but like
Altercations,
happening.
they fought.
They beat each other up. And then it kind of shifted to now we got more Nezrin. Like it was kind of like we met, there was like a little bit of blending, and then we shifted past.
Yeah, I mean it was character growth for each of them too. Like we got to see Sheeran move into more of like a nurturing, like motherly role for the story.
Yeah, because she started out motherly but lost her children, and then like rebuilt that like personality of hers, became like her whole shtick.
Did indeed. But yeah, it was good character development.
Yeah, easy point. I think in this book, originality and creativity, I gave this one a 1. I felt like maybe it's because we haven't read too much of this kind of like subsection of this genre, but I thought this was very clever. I mean, you have a witch in the very beginning, the very first couple of chapters, does what they succeed to do for the most part, and kind of wipes out a huge chunk of the area that they live. And it's about characters who are living in that scenario.
Yeah, living in
moving
the
forward.
aftermath.
And living in the aftermath. Where normally it's like at the end, oh, the witch won at the end, and then you get into book 2. This was, listen, things get messed up at the beginning, and we're fixing it from there. I like that take.
I like the concept. I liked it a lot. I thought that the whole story was unique. The idea of the seraphs, of these like immortal beings who take on human form and who have a purpose on Earth, like Minu being like a fallen, I guess like a fallen angel, if you want to look at it that way.
A seraph.
Yeah, seraph is what she was. It's just like it feels like a kind of fallen angel.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where I guess fallen angel would be good because they're sent there for like a job to like protect, but they've been there so long. It's like, and I guess every scenario,
Yeah, like
every
lost
story,
purpose
they're
and
like,
twisted.
yeah, they Yep.
But it was good. The whole story was unique. It was original. It was creative and very enjoyable.
I think it's what we needed to. I felt good after and during reading this. This is another one of those books we like pumped out like 2-3 days, and I was
Yeah,
like,
this was.
I devoured this, and I wanted it.
It's
It was
true.
good.
Me as well. It was it fit nicely after our because we did some more like sci-fi fantasy and then we got to go into this which is more like traditional like folklore fantasy. It was a nice little
Mm-hmm.
shift because we had Forsaken Planet which was more sci-fi and we had Engineer's Mechanic which was more sci-fi. So it was a nice little shift to old folklore fantasy, like more traditional classic fantasy.
Yeah, and I think, and I say this, I feel like every video, the mindset you have going like into a book, or like, I feel like I'm a mood reader, so like if I read like a bunch of the same in a row, eventually I'm going to be a little burned out. So a very good story might not be as great because I've read something similar like 4 times before
Yeah.
this, but because we read it like in the order that we did, I feel very good.
Yeah, me too. From there, engaging storyline. I gave it a point here
Um,
too.
yeah, I think we both gave it a point.
Yeah,
I was hooked from the very beginning, like we said, with the failure being in the first couple of
the
chapters.
characters were a big part of it too. Like we wanted to see what was going to happen to Daniel. We wanted to see what was going to happen to his wife, what was going to happen to the world.
I felt like the story was more character driven than story driven. I
Yeah.
feel like the characters, we were learning about the characters as we go, and that was the story, and stuff was happening on the outside, but like it was more so how whatever happened affected the characters that
Yeah, my
mattered.
hot take for this book is that it's a love story in disguise. That it's like
Mm,
that this really a story about like I mean, obviously, we'll talk about this more in themes, but there's a lot going on. But that it's like the real main story here is like Daniel and Nezrin like coming back to each other. It's like a hidden love story.
I
Lots
I
of different themes going on, but it's one
I
of
don't
I think that's
disagree.
one of the big
It's
ones.
there.
Yeah,
My big thing was, and I wrote this down so I could ask you: would you have made the choice that Daniel made to not see his wife? She thought he was dead for so long. He's been tortured by Minu. He finally gets out. He's literally in the same city as his wife and goes see her like, I don't know, 10 minutes. And he goes, you know what? I'm ugly. I'm a hideous monster. I'm gonna go get fixed and then come see her.
nah,
I wouldn't
couldn't do it.
either.
I
I'm
wouldn't do
like,
that
I
either.
barely lived to begin with, and you want me to I'm gonna go get fixed from I don't know. So this super evil demon that cursed the world cursed me, and I'm gonna get fixed by Joe Schmo, and then
Yeah,
I'm
I'm gonna
gonna
go
come
see
see you,
these.
babe.
I'm gonna go see these half-rate magicians, and then I'll see.
Yeah,
Nah, 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 nah. That was I will say it was stupid, but it was also a classic character trope, right? Like we do see in stories as part of character growth, we see characters make poor decisions regarding like loved ones and like defending them by lying or by hiding or by not telling them the truth or not letting them see them. And it's always a bad idea, but we read a lot of books, so we understand that. This character had to grow through it. So it's a trope that makes sense to me, but
it was one
it,
of those though
it
that
ain't
like
it,
it didn't
Chief.
it didn't feel wrong in the story. Like I understood why he was making that decision, but I was
Yeah.
yelling at him through the book like
It's like,
no,
no,
like that.
this is the
What
wrong decision.
what's that meme? I think it's from Interstellar where he goes no, and he's like banging on the glass like trying to stop his past self.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah.
Agreed. I very much understood that. I was like, oh, this makes sense for the story, but you're making the wrong decision, man. You can't
Yeah.
do that.
The other thing I was yelling at is when Sheeran met Nezrin and was like, "Oh, I meant to ask her if like she knew Taniel, but like I didn't." And then I moved on. I'm like, "Do it! You both know him." I
Yeah,
was upset at the time.
I was upset too. It was good though. It was good emotions.
Yeah, it was good emotions. Um, ho- this is one we have to talk about.
It
The
is.
story end. How did you feel about our ending?
I had mixed feelings. Like this is where my hot take that this is a love story comes from because I think that so I gave it a half point. I didn't give a full point for story wrap up, but I think that the main point of this story was to see second chances given and redemption. So like second chance and redemption of like Daniel getting fixed and getting to be reunited with his wife and getting to rekindle his marriage. Minu as this like divine messenger who's fallen and forgets her purpose gets a second chance. Her like demented daughter gets a second chance. We'll talk about this more in themes, but like I think those were like really important themes. So on that, the story I don't think there are a lot of really important moments in this story, and there's a lot of build up for things like this big fight that happens at the end between Minu and Ashera, yeah, the Gray Lady.
The Gray Lady.
And so it like looks like it's going to be like a really pivotal moment of the story, even though that wasn't important to the themes of the story. It was still like built up so much that I was expecting to see that. I was expecting to understand like what happens, and I was expecting to see Daniel's like rehabilitation finished. And it's like they go into this big battle, and then it's like cuts to the end, and everybody's healthy and happy and happily ever after. And I was like, wait, what?
I think that was my biggest gripe. I agree with the points that like it wasn't the point of the story for this for like this big battle to happen between these two and like that outcome that would change the world. It's about the characters, not the stuff on the side. Because the big serifs, the witch, everything on this that was happening was technically on the side because Daniel and his wife and Sheeran and everybody involved were the story,
Yeah.
like you said. But we shouldn't have like it was built up so much like you said, and it wasn't just like oh, it's leading up to this and then we slowly faded off and this is it was cut off. Like,
Yeah.
Minu and Ashiro were like went into their primal forms and then they were like about to fight and then it stopped. It was too abrupt in my opinion. That's why I give it half point two. Like we didn't.
It was.
I feel like if it was like, oh, like they're fighting and this is happening, but Daniel's escaping with Nezrin and they're getting away and blah blah blah, and like the characters were exiting while that happened, but instead we got they fought and things happened and it's years later and now
everyone's happy ever after, and it's like wait,
what? It wasn't years later, but still it was like I felt a little blue balled.
We did jump to years later pretty quickly.
I mean, pretty quickly, but like they gave us a little zhuzh.
Yeah, it was. I have a lot of feelings about it, and they're mostly positive. The like, I am sad that we missed this big climax, but it's more that like you developed this really cool world, and you showed us this really cool magic system, and you made that a really big part of the story. Even though I can tell that like thematically that was not your purpose for the story. But
it was nice world building.
You did so well with the world building that you drew us into this battle so much that it was like, it
accidentally hyped us.
Yeah, it's true. So like, I see both sides of it, right? Like I can see that thematically that was not the point of the story for us to see that big battle, but you did the world building so well that to not show us the fight is just like, what?
Hear me out though. I feel like if I wasn't, and that's a hard thing with what we're doing, like reviewing books, because like we're trying to read them for face value, but we also have to talk about them and analyze them a bit. I feel like if I wasn't analyzing it like we were, like we wouldn't necessarily pick up as easily the fact that it was about the characters, so we'd be a little bit more upset than we were. They were like, what, this big battle happened?
That's true.
But I think we're a little bit more understanding because we get it.
Yeah, I'd probably be more frustrated if we weren't. I probably would be more frustrated if we weren't talking about it.
Yeah. It's a good thing we have these, we can bounce things off each other.
It's like we have each other.
Yeah, we do have each other, and that's nice. I think about you often because I'm reading often. Nice, you remembered.
I did it.
All right. We're moving on in our
half point on story and wrap up. Next one.
Yeah.
We started talking about this one. Yeah, we started talking about this already. It was great. It's fantastic.
I was trying to figure out how to like describe the setting at first, and I think you kind of nailed it with like, what did you say, Scottish folklore or something like that? I said like Scottish Isles. Like, yeah, it's definitely like it gives like it's not Norse, but it's giving like old like
it to me it's like old like British.
God. Yeah, with the old you're giving like I'm thinking like not Black Plague, like medieval times kind of ish like vibes. So we've got
definitely with some
like
industrial revolution.
Dark fantasy because there's guns
and trains.
Yeah, which when I'm thinking about the story, I don't actually remember that at all until I'm like, oh wait, they had guns and trains, and like it doesn't feel like that part fits. Like if those weren't part of it, I feel like it'd make more sense.
Yeah, it would be all medieval without that.
Yeah, but it's definitely like not post-apocalyptic. I called it a post-plague event because like the whole point of Minu's thing wasn't to wipe out everybody. It was to wipe out the like imperfect people. It was only the like cream of the crop, the valuable individuals were supposed to be left. And then something went, I don't really remember what went wrong. Something went wrong. Her sister tried to mess with it and it ended up going a little bit more sporadic and just people. But
yeah.
So post-plague, they remind me of the Black Plague, except red mist that made you die. die in a very horrific way.
Yeah, it was really
It was a
interesting.
gruesome book.
This, I don't know that this fits here, but I'm going to talk about it here.
Do it.
The whole concept of how we're seeing things from Minu's perspective, like how she releases this plague to cull the chaff of humanity. She wants to kill off like liars and deceitful and weak-minded individuals, and she wants it to only be like the pure of heart that are left. But this like forest that is her sister interferes with the magic, and it like kills all the parameters she had, and so it's just a plague that randomly kills. And so she like makes this plague, which she's a villain for doing that, right? People who are not villains don't have plagues that wipe out part of humanity. But the intentions of the plague were like, I want to only spare the pure-hearted. I want to kill off like those that are like ruining our world.
Well, it gives Thanos vibes. It's like, I need to cull half the population because everyone's starving. Like, I want people to like,
it's very balanced.
Be happier. It's like, I see what you're saying. It's a little messed up though.
And then later on, she's talking about Daniel and the changes that her sister has made in starting to heal him. And she's like, she's made you so weak. She's ruined you. You look like a sad,
she goes a little
frail
cuckoo
human
at the end.
Yeah.
She loses her cool, her cheese.
But I like the perspective shift. I liked how we got to see her inner monologue. But anyway.
Yeah, that's something I want to talk about coming up here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But world building, setting, easy point.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The world building was great. The setting was great. We talked about that a lot already. The world was good. It drew us in. Could easily see this being like a world that you write like multiple different like short stories in, or other novellas.
I feel like novellas would be good. I even think you could get like short stories, like, because there were other serifs too that they didn't talk about. I think if like different parts of the world you had like either same timeline, different things, or they've been alive for thousands of years, they could do.
Yeah, it could be anything. It could be anywhere.
Yeah,
it could be 1,000 years later. It could be 1,000 years earlier.
Yeah, I would check out other stuff by this author too.
Yeah, me too.
The author, I like the way that they were writing. I think it vibed with us.
It did indeed. And then on to pacing and structure.
Yeah, this one was hard for me. I wanted to give it a full point.
Me too.
But I gave it a half. The structure was great. It was like outlined very well. You could tell a lot of thought went into everything that happened. I just thought that I felt it was a little slow at times. And I'm fine with things happening slow and characters talking for character development, blah, blah. We always relate things like, oh, Brandon Sanderson is the 1,000-page blah, 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 blah. But like, I felt like it was just too slow. Some of the times of the character interactions, like, all right, why do we have to do this?
Do you know what it boils down to for me? It's tough to say this because I don't think this is necessarily true, but it's almost like the book couldn't figure out what kind of book it wanted to be, which, like I said, I don't think that's the case. I think the author very much wanted to focus this to be a book that focuses on the themes and thematically exploring the themes of like second chances and like redemption. But the world building was so good that I think it confuses the reader a bit. Like the pacing to me felt slow because I was waiting for something more magical to happen, because it was like we're getting so many travel scenes and Daniel's on the run, and these
I think a solution for why this is. Sorry I interrupted you. I got excited.
Go ahead.
I think it's because I think that our author here, SK Ehra, is a very good fantasy writer, but was trying to write something that wasn't fantasy. Not necessarily wasn't fantasy, but was trying to have something with like, trying to write, like you said, more thematically, more deep meaning, and focused, like wanted to focus on that. And that was their main point. But the way they write is so like
fantastical,
ingrained and fantastical, and like exploring the world and magic systems and the different things on the outside, that even though that was their focus when they were writing, they just kept exploring like other things. So like the main route had more, it's gonna say more bush,
branches,
more tree, more branches. Yeah. I think that's what it was.
No, yeah, like, I agree. I wanted to see more. I kept thinking we were going to see like Daniel perfected in Minu's image to a point that he could that he was like superhuman, because that was her original vision of him, right? Like she wanted him to be this like forest god, this like guardian, like like steer, like I would not steer. What's an like an elk, like a guardian, like elk man with horns, and so I
Mhm.
kept thinking we were going to see him like perfected in her vision and like just go like crazy and be like super strong and fast. And so I was just, and we got the whole like magical battle at the beginning that it like set the tone, and I was like, we're gonna get more of that, and then it really just focused in on
We didn't
his
get
like,
any more battles like that.
yep, it focused in on his traveling and on his like thoughts and feelings
Growth.
and on his growth and on the growth of other characters with him, which was great. It was useful. It just felt slow coming off of like a big battle that happens in the beginning. It's almost like this book happened in reverse, which is how the author and the synopsis, like, it's how this book is described. Like the book starts at the end of the world.
Yeah.
And so it feels like it happened in reverse. Like the big battle happened at the beginning of the book. The like climactic like battle of the villain and the hero happened in the very beginning. And so then it's all aftermath. So it all that to say, it felt a little slow at times.
Yeah, I never thought like, oh, the main character's gonna die, like Daniel's in like bad shape and like deteriorating and stuff. I also thought that he was gonna be like either fully corrupt by Minu and was gonna be like this big, or he was gonna become a villain type thing or become like fully controlled or something.
Yeah. That's what I was
Different
expecting
direction.
too.
And I'm okay with the direction that it went.
Me
I
too.
just wish at the end of the day, I just wish we would have gotten more of the Seraph battle at the end. But I like battles. Other than that, know what to say. Emotional impact. Felt I cared about like Taniel's journey. And I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if I cared too personally. I understood like her story and like could tell that her emotions were, leading her towards finding Taniel and everything like that. But like Sheeran's story, even his like dad, the way he was doing things, Serial, I felt like totally get it, like the way he was doing things. And even I kind of understood the way Ashira was running things like in the forest and like, listen, I take in everybody, I try to kill everybody, and she was like, I messed up, so I'm trying to like pay my penance for that by taking in everybody now, type thing. I was like,
Yeah.
that's huge. Like I felt connected to these characters. I felt like they did a good job with even though it was a situation obviously, but like the core problems for like humans of like connection and like finding your wife or husband and type things like that was very.
Yeah, it was emotionally impactful. I gave it a point here as well, and I agree. I think that, you know what I think made it really hard for Nezrin to grow on me more was the language barrier. The imposed, like the author did a good job writing the language barrier to be realistic. Like I think that it was well done in making us feel the language barrier
Like
through the
broken
writing.
English.
Yeah, I just wish it would have like, I wish we could have heard her talk to someone in her own language, or even if it was like Taniel when they get back together, and it could have been like, and they switched to her native language, and then it's like her having like full thoughts. It was just hard to really understand her through broken English. Like we saw her love for her husband and her determination for him to like seek him out, but
Well,
her
the
growth,
only
I think, was a bit stunted with the broken English.
I would agree because when she was speaking, it was kind of like hard to like connect with that, at least personally. Because the only person that she did speak her language with was I don't remember if it was a friend or her sister, but she like died from the plague in the beginning. So it's like, well, there's the only connection.
Yeah,
Is she dead?
she gone, but I still gave it a point for emotional impact. It was good.
Oh yeah, same. I would agree there. Writing style and prose. Dakota, where are you at here?
I gave
We're
it a
gonna
half.
agree on the same part.
Yeah,
I think we're gonna agree here.
I gave it a half point here. I liked the prose a lot. It was very natural, it's very smooth.
Mhm.
Though I struggled with the Minu povs, the Minu points of view.
It was difficult.
It was difficult to understand, and it was a bit jarring when it switched, and I had to reframe and like remember who was talking when it switched to Minu.
So off of that, I kept thinking like, are we the reader Minu, or are we the reader like who are we? Because when we got to those, the way they framed it is like you are doing this, and I'm like, someone is telling us what we're doing as if we are Minu. So like, who is
Yeah.
narrating this?
Yeah,
So I was a little
it was a bit
confused.
confused. It was a bit confusing as well. Like I was like, is this her inner monologue? Is it like villain monologue? Like she's so
Like so
she's so-
detached from herself
yeah,
that
that
she's like
this is how her like story plays out for her.
yeah. And I liked the different, like I like that we were trying something different here. I just don't know if I got it. I wanted to get it. I don't know if I got it.
Also wanted to get it. Also don't think I got it. But, you know, we're being a little nitpicky because it's
It's
what
our
we do.
job.
Yeah, we're taking it deep. We're deep diving. All that
We're
to say,
taking it deep. Damn. Chat, clip that.
chat, are we cooked? Am I cooked,
We're
chat?
cooked.
We're taking it deep. Stick around for the final score because we still like this book. Stick around for our final review because we still like this book. We're gonna still take it deep. We're gonna go even deeper. How deep can we go? Can we go deeper?
We can go deeper.
Test it.
Let's go into meaningful themes and depth.
Speaking of deep, let's talk about the depth.
I mean, we've already glanced on this, but like for me, the biggest theme here was second chances. Everybody got a second chance, and literally everybody. Minu at the end after the battle got a second chance. The Gray Lady, her whole vibe was like, "Hey, I fucked up. Now I'm in my second chance era, making up after my sister's mistakes and my own." The daughter, Karina, she was literally reborn into a baby.
Yeah, epitome of second chances. And Taniel's
Yeah.
like, she doesn't deserve a second chance, and they're like, those who deserve second chances are not the ones that get the second chances.
Yeah, I saved a quote. It says, "Second chances are never given to the deserving, are they? The deserving are rarely in need of second chances," is how it was responded to. I'm like, dang.
That was good. I would almost give this bonus points for the themes. I'm not in the habit of giving
Really?
out bonus points, but I thought that the themes were top tier.
I thought
Thematically,
the
I
themes
thought
are good. I wouldn't say that, but I mean, we could disagree.
yeah, we can. I'm not giving it bonus points. It's only get a one. It gets a point.
Tell us
But
more though. Why? Tell us more why you love it.
I just thought it did a really good job of exploring
Tell
the
us.
theme. I thought it did a great job exploring the themes of second chances and redemption. And I think that the author did a good job, like really threading that through the whole story. Like I said,
feel like it wasn't forced down our throat either. Like it was clearly second chances, but it was like all of their second chances were like
deserved.
subtly introduced.
They were earned
and deserved. Well,
yeah. Well, deserved is not. They were earned.
They were
okay,
rationalized in the story.
Yes. They were maybe earned through trials, not deserved. Deserve is the wrong word, but each character got their second chance through like pain and suffering.
Yeah.
It wasn't like Karina and Minu both
Everybody
got second chances.
suffered.
Yeah, everybody faced the suffering in this book was not discriminatory. Everybody suffered.
Everybody got backhanded.
Yeah. Everybody got more
Even
than they deserved.
Even Sharon like lost both of her kids, and her second chance was with Kirina, who got her second chance as her kid. It's like, well, that's
quite the loop-de-loop.
There's a lot of loop-de-loops here. I feel good about themes. I think there was a one for each of us, like you said.
Yeah, definitely.
But on rereadability and lasting impact, I wasn't sure how to rate this one. This one was tough for me.
Yeah, I gave it.
Go
on. Take us deep.
I didn't know how to rate it because I was like, I don't even know what to say. Because it's hard when you really enjoy a book, but you wouldn't reread it.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
The lasting impact I'll have is because it's kind of new genre for us, but I really enjoyed the story that we got. I think in the second chances, I think I'll remember like when I see this book, I will be like, oh, I wonder what happened. Like it'll take me back. Like it'll be there for me. I think that's what lasting impact is. If I see it, I'm instantly recalling things. I'm like, okay,
yeah,
there we go.
Yeah, and I like that we have a few categories that we do two-parters because it makes sense for how we split up our half and whole points. And so this being like a lasting impact and rereadability makes sense because those go hand in hand. So it's like a perfect book. We'll both have an impact in our minds after we're done reading it, and we could see ourselves reading it again. This was a great book, but I don't think I'd read it again. It was not that kind of book.
Got what I needed out of it. I'll remember it, but I don't need to dive back in. I don't need that refresher. Even if I wanted it, I would look at it and be like, okay, this is what it was.
Yeah. And I think part of that is in the complexity of the story, right? Like it was a simple story, which isn't a bad thing. Like we said, we enjoyed it, but it's not the kind of story I need to read again to understand it.
And even then, like sometimes a simple story, like I would reread, but like I think I don't know what that definable quality is, but something has to like, I think it's all based on the person because a lot of people won't reread books because they're like, well, I already read it.
It's very subjective.
Again. So it's obviously very subjective. But I think even though this had like a ton of great points, I just don't think I would like be like, wow, I need to be back in this exact story. I would be in this world again if another one was written, but I'm not diving back into the same.
I agree. Yeah,
So,
we both gave it a half point there.
But I think it's a safe thing to say that this is RSQ recommended.
RSQ
RSQ
recommended
recommended
indeed.
for sure.
What was our score, Curtis? What do we give this book?
We both gave this an 8, so I think an average between 8 and 8 is an 8. So I think that
If you look at an 8 and an 8 and you average the two of them out, it's crazy that you get deeper.
right. Go read this book. If you
Yeah, this
are
is a great book.
I think you have to be a fan of dark fantasy. It is gory at times. But I feel like if you like reading about second chances and you're very into characters and the redemption arcs type thing, I think that this is something that you're going to really enjoy.
I agree. Definitely recommend this book. It's definitely one that will make you feel things.
And you know what? Judge a book by its cover. Do you
Yeah,
like this cover?
it's
If you
got a
do,
great
go
cover.
read it. Judge. So that's our review on Minu. Another great one. We're really kicking it off with these indie reads. I'm feeling real good about this month we did. And
yeah, it's been a great month of indie reads. We've been able to support some really cool authors and read some really cool books, and books that we definitely would not have read if we didn't do the whole indie thing. We would have been reading big mainstream authors this month from our wheel.
Yeah. And we've got a couple more that we plan on hopefully reading before the end of the month. We're coming on less than half the month left, so we'll see what happens, but we're hoping to get to some more. And even though once we finish this month we'll probably go back to our mainstream stuff, our goal is to sprinkle in a little bit of indie stuff here and there, or if
Now
we're
we've
like,
got the
wow, that
indie
looks
wheel now.
fantastic, we'll just bump it up. Yeah, got the indie wheel now. And we have follow-up books to read for different series, like Power to the Stars series by Brian Wilson.
That's true. Excited for that.
Excited for that. And Engineer's Mechanic, the other ones aren't out yet.
Nope.
We just have book one.
I think the only ones that we have more of are Power of the Stars, but
and I will plug
My Boss is the Devil.
My Boss is the Devil, yes, by Ben Shankman. Is also a trilogy, and that was like, it's a weird cozy urban fantasy about making a deal with the devil to do good. It sounds strange that that's a cozy urban fantasy. Fantastic, easy, quick read. Go read it, please. I cannot wait. I ordered the trilogy as a set, so I'm waiting for it to come in. So
yeah, and I've got to do a review on Lone and Level Sand still, but that was fantastic too. I really enjoyed that book, but I'll have
and I'm excited to hear your thoughts on it
review.
because I didn't read it. So I'm excited to hear your thoughts. And we can do, you know what we should do some of these times? If we feel like it, for more some YouTube content.
Do
this list and I interview you.
That'd be cool.
Like someone, that'd be fun.
We do it right now? Not right now, but right now.
Not right now. In the future.
Yeah.
We could do it. All right. Well, I think that kind of wraps up this
yeah, we have
interview.
a wheel spin. We have a wheel spin video. So check that out. See what we're reading next. Spoiler alert, it's Arcanics, Dark Times.
Mm-hmm.
And so you'll see our wheel spin, you'll see our review for that, and we'll continue Indie Month, hopefully knocking out one more at least, maybe two, before we wrap up Indie June.
I think we can squeeze in two, depending on what happens. I think we can get two in.
I think we can
We'll
squeeze
see.
in two.
Depending
as well.
on how long the books are.
It's true. Depending on how long the books are and how much real life gets in the way. Pesky real life.
Pesky real life. All right. Well, on that note, I'm Curtis.
I'm Dakota.
And this is RSQ, and we're out.